So, guys, I'm audible. Guys, I will introduce myself first. My name is Pawan Kumar Singh, and I am total having 13 years of IT experience, and I'm 12 plus of years experience in service now. So basically, I started my journey with the Dublin release, and long back journey I have in service now. A lot of things to share, definitely, and that's a good event to discuss a lot of things. And in fact, I'm very excited to share everything about here. So technically, I am in a master's. And from the BITS Pilani, India, and I'm right now manager and the solution architect at the PwC. I'm ServiceNow certified instructor as well, so CIP I have. Apart from that, I have ServiceNow certification with the mainline CSA, CAD, CI discovery, event management, CSM, and all. Okay, and my hobby is to traveling. I love travel and playing cricket, reading science and history books, definitely, and also I am very active on LinkedIn. A lot of things I learn and I share every day. Okay, I'll go to the next slide. So today, basically, we'll talk about one of the important topic here is performance tuning. Okay, so tuning, guys, is very vast topic. Okay, if you talk about, so we can talk for an hours, but I'll try to quickly wrap it up, and some of the quick wins that we can talk about and some of the things that we can learn. So I will share here there's some quick tips and tricks here. So basically, very quick wins that we can do the platform, right? So let's say if we talk about the loading of a form page. Okay, so whenever we load up service now forms or the related list, so a lot of related lists gets loaded simultaneously. Okay, so those settings, if we can control. Okay, so if for example you want to control the loading of a page forms and there are very heavy related list or something, so those areas we can defer for a time being. Okay, so there are some quick settings that we can do. In fact, like a lot of people utilizing that, and if you don't know, so those settings in the system properties can help us a quick win. Okay, so one of the thing here is the one of the system property that we talk about is glide UI defer data. So it's point number one here. Okay, so glide UI defer data list. So basically this is true and false settings, so you can do. So once you make it true, so there is another settings called glide .ui related underscore list underscore timing. So basically here we can set the timing of a form load. So for example, it can make settings to an on demand or deferred related list. Okay, so what is a deferred and on demand basically? So deferred is basically whenever we load a form or any users who is interacting a form, whether it's an incident change or problems or whatever, doesn't matter. So they are interacting with the form, and first they click on the form, then only the related list gets open. Okay, after that, so first thing the main form gets loaded, then the related list gets loaded. So that's what the setting called deferred we can set over in the system property. So these are the system properties that we can take control, and we can handle the uh, loading of a page. Okay, and the second property here is also in the second values that we can set on the retail list timing is basically an on demand. Okay, so what is on demand here? Let's say once user clicks on the retail list only, then only it should get loads. So that way we can say a lot of times, instead of loading entire page to be loaded and people are waiting for the entire page to be loaded and the retail list to be loaded, so these settings can help us to kind of uh, setting the page load here. Okay, so that page loading is quite important when we talk about the performance of an page. Often we heard like here, like with the users say, I am your page is slow, it's not loading properly and all. In fact, in the latest releases also there is analytics page, analytics things that is given by service now. Fortunately, now we can see the analytics of the page as well and the load time. And in fact, earlier also we had the timers and all, where we can see the page load time, dom manipulation loading time, so dom server side elements, so a lot of things were there. But in fact now we have the more control over, and we can see the how interactive or how much time it is getting loaded. But this quick setting, the first number one, where we can defer the related list, is very important settings that we can do on. Second thing is, often we see a lot of things we create around the dashboards. Okay, and the point number two, if you talk about, so that's optimizing the landing pages and dashboards. So it is quite important. Most often, like what we do when we go for an form load, or whenever the user kind of log in first time, so they have various kind of some dashboard to be setups, where the dashboard is a landing page, right? So dashboard landing page might be not a good choice every time, because dashboard itself, there are a lot of widgets inside, and each widgets take quite a low different times as per the data that is basically populating. And if the dashboard is heavy, like we have the multiple data, millions of data to be queried out and to be loaded, so this data is very tricky to be optimized in the dashboard part. So instead of landing to a dashboard unless it's very necessary, we can set up some property over here, so glide.login page, where you can redirect people to a particular page, and only when necessary they can go into the dashboard part. So the second property is very important in the optimizing the landing page. Okay, and this optimizing the landing page is very important in terms of how the people will start their session or with the service now. Okay, so that's the first thing here. And in fact, we can also, let's say if you need a dashboard anyway, so that would be the best thing about the dashboard is we can break into the multiple tabs, right? So we can just keep a minimum widgets in one dashboards, one of the tab here. So the good thing about it, to optimize the performance here is in the dashboard we can optimize those dashboard, keeping a multiple tabs there, and each of the specific sections there. Let's say incident dashboard is there, so we can minimize with the one of the dashboard tab for the SLAs, one of the dashboard for the open incident, close incidents, and all. So that way we can minimize the dashboard load time, and only whenever like people click on the tabs, then only the widgets gets loaded. Okay, so that's the second thing we can take care on. So either we can go for the optimizing the um, loading page, so that is a custom login page you can create, in fact very simple and plain page for welcoming a user to service now, and then they can navigate to the further screen. And second option, if you need the dashboard anyway in the landing page, so we can optimize the dashboards by breaking into the chunks and all. So that's what how we can win the performance over there. Yeah. Third thing is, lot of things is there, like we have the related list, and a lot of people basically prefer to load 100 record at a time, right? If you go for the list load, and you can go on a show and click on list, so there are options like 10, 15, 30, 50, and hundreds. So there we can limit um, the number of records to be loaded, because as soon as every people in the platform is trying to load 100 records, so definitely the queries is going to take time, and loading will be a little bit time taking for them. So rather than giving them access to select 100 records, so we can limit those properties. Like you remember, like when you go for the list, there you can uh, get the optimize those settings, how kind of how much record you want to see. So there we can limit the property. Technically also I did this to improve the performance, because I see a lot of complaints happening around that. And so limited it to the 50 records, so that it will not go double them. So there are saved some times over there also. So small things make a difference here. So although we quite often ignore that, and we say okay, if it is 10 records, it's 100 record, it will not take much difference. But definitely if you talk about the longer term, so there are millions of records, there is a lot of data to be queried out. So these row count property, which we are talking about, the point number three, is very important. So glide UI per page is basically the one settings that we can do and control over here. Okay, so that's a very quick win in the platform, guys. Okay, and that we can use to optimize our quick settings in that ServiceNow performance. Okay, now the second thing here is, let's follow the very usual things. Okay, okay. So first thing here in the follow what is the best, for instance. Okay, often like when we develop thing into service now, so we focus to complete the task, and we often very delay think about the performance. But the performance consideration should be day one itself when we start developing something in service now. Okay, so first thing is here, there should be not too many client scripts. Like for onload, we see multiple onloads client scripts. So think of an optimizing the onload client scripts, because onload technically take times. On top of that, we have the server query as well, the ACLs get evaluated as well. So a lot of things happens in the first place. So we should be talking about optimizing the onload and the server call. So both way, like we cannot go for too many client script, and we cannot go for too many server calls. So there should be the optimization, there should be handshake between these two. There should be not much on load client script. Similarly, we should not have much query over the data loading of a form. So this should be very optimal to be used, whether it's a client loading time, loading scripts, or the server calls. So there's something we have to happen. Second thing is very very important, because lot of times we go for an code. Okay, the second point which we are talking about. So the following the code best practice is very important, because what happens when you query just single data in a record. Let's say um, you are opening particular records into a widget, or into a service portal, or into any user interface in the customer service management, whatever. Okay, but the query that you are doing for that loading that data, it should be only specific to those records. For example, let's say I have often seen like when people write a script, so they don't use any set limit condition, even though they are calling only one record. Okay, so always mindful about your scripts, because if you are only have to query one record, so it should be a set limit you have to set, so that only one call should happen. You don't use a while loop if you are not using only one data. So similarly, like gr.row count should not be there, like in case if you have to use anyway, you can go for the glide aggregate and all. So those best practices make very much difference. Okay, so one of the thing is best practices, and often I see people are using the manual review. That's not efficient at all. One of the good thing here in service now is we have the out of box scan, instance scan feature. So this instance scan feature is makes very very good differences in service now. If you go for best practices, it has already have certain checks, it always have certain things inside the service now which you can use. Okay, and definitely you can go for adding your own checks here as well. For example, I also go into the instance scan, and I add my own checks, like there should be no info, because info and all, gs.info, gs.logs and all unnecessary, it gets loaded into the instance. It's increase the table uh, queries, as well as load time, and in fact all the general entry table gets loaded. So a lot of things we have to do a certain checks in code, and make sure if it is not there in service now instance scan feature, definitely you can add your own. So that's what the good thing and very underutilized thing I can say, guys, here in the coding best practices. So always think of an instance scan to follow the coding best practices. That will save time for manual review. You have your control, and you can add your own checks there and there. So that's the way we can go for a preventive behavior rather than the reactive behavior. Okay, so that's what the second thing that we can talk about. Okay, code governance, as I said, avoiding instance log, instance scan is a very good feature. So that's point number third. Also, we have discussed. Um, Limiting the data growth is very important. Okay, often I see when we go for very big instances, the big clients, they have millions of data in kind of their instance. Okay, so those data are not basically technically uh, being used sometimes, because if they mostly need 6 months or 1 year data, but still for years data is being lying in the database, and those kind of creating a system performance issues. Okay, because although you are just fetching out one record, it is getting a queries on the millions data. You are loading a dashboards, you're getting multiple things around that data. So always think of an limiting the data growth. Okay, that way, like let's say you are using the archival rule, we have the our data management policies that you can set up, where we can talk about limiting the data growth. We can archive those data. In fact, if it is not needed, we can destroy those data as well. So archival, you all know, like we can move data from one main table to the archive table, and from there we can make our main data, the table data, be clean and very effective on the queries. So limiting data growth via archivals rules, destroy rules, data management policies are very very important things to limit the data growth. So that way, not only we kind of save the performance, we save the cost as well. If you talk about the data in service now, so we also talk about the kind of cost here as well, right? When we the data size grows with a certain limits, there are cost also involved. So that cost we have to pay if you are using consuming larger space. So think of a cleanup, because we see a lot of data residing on the image table. So technically, if you go and if you go for the support.servicenow.com high portal, if you go and you just check your database size, how it is occupying, so you'll see a lot of data is there in the image table, archive table. So those data we can clean it up time to time, or we can set some policies on the um, instance kind of archival rules or destroy rules. So time to time we can make this possible to limit our data growth. So the point number 4 is very important here. Okay. uh, Now next number is point number 5. So always like in the point number 4 we talked about the reactive approach. When the data should grow, it's good to the archive, but we can also prohibit uh, what kind of files should come in my system. So being a service now tool, you have a lot of flexibility on limiting what type of file should come in your system. Not only the file type should come in system, file size also we can take care here. So let's say we only want files to be PDF or um, let's say docs file or any text file. So we allow them by setting those file types. Okay. And apart from that, we can also monitor the file size as well. Okay. So which is one of the system property that you are seeing here in the point number 5 is com.glide.attachment max size. Okay. So here you can, because by default service now size limit is 1024 MB. That means that's 1 GB file limit service now allows out of the box. So that's very heavy file size, right? And if people are uploading 100 MBs, 200 MBs for attachments, so that will not make any sense, or to keep in data in that kind of attachments. Okay, unless it is very specific, we can allow them, but technically we should be limiting the size of data which is coming into service now. So that's why this com dot glide attachment max size is very important, and we should have control over it. Okay. We can allow the certain limits. So technically, I allowed around 15 MB or 20 MBs data, unless it is required for a larger size. Always we can think of compressing those files and all, and we can guide those users with like KB articles. You can compress your data, so we can save the size and in fact the performance here as well. Okay. uh, yeah, okay, I understand users never does that, but definitely uh, I have seen certain cases where people are allowing large data sizes because they have certain issues and they are recording in a video and they are uploading it, so that the video is uploading takes very time. Okay, so that's what the chat my point is. Okay. Second six things is about point number 6 is consider the indexes. Okay, and so indexes are like again, indexes are should be very considerable in terms of there should be no not much indexes, and there should be not very low kind of indexes, because indexes makes very difference in the tuning. Okay. So first thing is let's say you have the custom tables, and you have the slowness over there, so you can think of an indexing of your uh, uh, instances columns. Okay. So indexing makes a difference. Okay. And but yes, indexing again should be in limit. There should be not too much indexes to be there, because too much indexes again go for a reverse impact on the load, or revert impact of the queries. And there should be not low kind of indexes, because very less indexes also makes difficult to query out. So the frequent thing, like we can go for a single index or the composite index. So indexing you can think of based on the query that we are going to do on that particular custom table and all. Okay. So that's what the point number 6 here is. That's the second point here. Now I'll go for the third slide. Okay. And that's about um, issues which are beyond visible. Okay. So and the very interesting things I want to talk about here. Okay. So one of the sorry if I'm spelling this mistake, so it's a picking. So basically what happens sometimes we see it's not WSYW YIG. Okay, what we see is what we get. For example, although we have the best practices applied, we have the indexes in place, sometimes query can not be issue because of the something that we have done. It can be run from the backend as well, and I will say a very interesting use case. One of the things that I have encountered earlier. So I will take an example. When there were 1 milliseconds difference we observed on the one of the sprint, like there was a query was taking around 100 milliseconds, and we observed around it's taking 200 milliseconds the next sprint. Okay. So what we, even though we have the indexes in place, so what we are seeing when we reach to the service now and we go for the Splunk logs, and we have gone through inside that. So we have seen those kind of queries, although the indexes were there, but the query optimizer which runs on the back end, which picks up the indexes to load a data, it was not picking the right indexes. So the problem can be lied beyond what is visible for us. So that's what happens whenever we do a query. We have the slow queries module where you can identify the slow queries and all. So even though we are seeing that queries were slow, but we were not able to find out what had gone wrong. So once we reached to the service now, we gone for the troubleshooting and debugging. So we got to know like there is a query optimizer not picking up the right indexes. So those query optimizer thing is were corrected, and then it is the issue got resolved. Okay. Okay. Second thing is about database hardware currents to be issue. This is very very rare, I can say, but I have seen one of the instance here when like let's say example. Um, uh, One of the instances when we were encountering those kind of challenges where the database, although the query optimizer all fine, we found out there hardware differences happened between development environment and the production environment. Okay. So technically here uh, when we reach to the again, like, because we don't know what happened on the particular record, although we see all the thing is fine. So there we identified the issues were there on the hardware that were hosting the ServiceNow database. So technically what we have done when we talked about the ServiceNow, they replaced that hardware with the newer version of the hardware that was available. I don't know the name of that right now, but definitely sometimes if you go beyond what is visible, you will see a lot of things goes on the performance side as well. So query optimizer and sometimes hardware also can be issues which you don't see, but the issue is there. Okay. So that's what thing here is. And yeah, Mike, so basically for the platform tools, basically ServiceNow performance dashboard is there. I think it might not be there in the newer version as release onwards. So I often use the ServiceNow performance dashboards. Even in the next slide, we'll talk about certain modules which is there for like slow queries, slow scripts, and also they are also we utilize to check the performance. And in fact, in the Zurich release, we are getting the platform analytics as well, where we can see. I think there are certain modules they have introduced to validate the performance of a page and how the users are getting engaged. Okay, so that's something we can explore. uh, yeah, so monitoring basically, yes. So yes, as we discussed, so quick tools that is basically we can use here to monitoring the performance is a ServiceNow performance dashboard, a very useful dashboard out of the box that we can go on, and it can give us a lot of ideas around measuring the performance and seeing what is going on the threads, semaphores, database, or the instance, or the nodes also. Like you can select the nodes over there in the ServiceNow performance dashboard, and you can see what is going right and what is going wrong, at what time it is shooting up. And we have seen, like, whenever we go for ServiceNow performance dashboard, so at certain time if we see the spikes, we might understand there are certain logs running in certain queries, running in certain scheduled jobs, running at the particular time. So we go to that particular transactions logs and we see what is running and all, so we optimize that. Yes, so that's the first thing that we always use to monitor that. Second thing is system diagnostic. We have a lot of things goes on. How is going on, what's node having what kind of transactions, what kind of things going on. So system diagnostic, very good tool where you can go explore more about that. uh, Point third is about slow queries. Definitely, uh, there is a lot of modules around that in ServiceNow, which in fact shows was what is going with the systems, what is going in the backend. So slow queries, we can go and you can identify the queries which is being working slow, and you can find out and you can fine tune as well. So very interesting example I can share. When some of the queries, the ordering of the queries is very also we change, and we see the performance got improved. Let's say active is equal to true, or the username is equal to this one. So when we optimize those tunes in the encoded query as well, so those are thing also we see the performance got improved. So a lot of it in trial we did, but definitely uh, slow queries basically identify help us to identify what is going on and all. Okay. Similarly, slow transactions, we can see all the transaction that is happening, whether it's integration or via internal transactions. So we can identify something is slow. We can go through this. Similarly, if the fifth point number five, slow scripts are there. So any scripts that is behaving slow, we can identify. We can go on and we can see what is going wrong. So let's say we have identified with the slow scripts, like there are instead of updating at a or using the multiple queries, let's say gr.update multiple or delete multiple, people are using while loop and all. Definitely it will take time, right? So we can optimize to delete multiple or update multiples. So those kind of transactions we can think of about the monitoring and all. Okay. So that's what I think is a quick thing about. I think time is also 1 minute left for me. But yes, definitely, with all these practices considering in mind and going to the module specific control, if you see the UI elements, you see the backend elements and all, if you monitor that and you measure that, you can definitely do a very good difference on the performance tuning and all. So with that said, guys, that's from all from my side. Thank you. Very nice speaking to you. If any questions, feel free to type in. Thank you, Mike. Thanks, Anders. Thank you, Chad. Over to Jace, if it is there. Yeah. Thank you. Thank you very much.